everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Jessica Henry Gray, and I'm excited to have you with me today. Today I have something special planned. I'm really excited to share this one with you today. As we approach the holiday season, I wanted to do a fun, simple, sort of a Christmassy scene. I've got a beautiful pine tree in a front yard, just covered in snow, but it has the Christmas lights on it, so it's kind of glowing, and it's about at twilight. So I'm excited to share that one with you today. I'm going to keep it really simple, and I welcome you to paint along with me if you'd like. And I will include a picture of this, my image, down below as a PDF. All right, so I have a very small 9x12, and I'm going to put it horizontally today with the tree and a little bit of a driveway in there. And today for my palette, I'm just using all of my basic colors. So I have titanium white, cadmium yellow medium, yellow ochre, burnt sienna, ultramarine blue, alizarin permanent, and then over here is phthalo green. Okay, I've got a little bit of Galca gel and my odorless mineral spirits over there. I'm just going to use some really basic brushes today and keep it very simple. Now I want to encourage you to watch all the way to the end. I've got a really fun little commercial here of all of the really cool specials we're offering for this year for our holiday season. As usual, I have my annual holiday fine art sale on my website of just art that I've made that's really special to me. I hand selected about 16 paintings, and they are sold on a first come first served basis. I marked the prices down. So I hope that you take advantage of that and look around at that. And feel free to email me if you have any questions. All right, you guys, let's jump in with this painting. All right, so I have my palette all set up here, and I sit kind of closer to my easel when I'm at home. I've got this palette resting on my legs down here. Every now and then I do get up and walk back from my paintings, but just a little bit of a, to make life easier, this is how I work this at home. Now also I wanted to mention that I am using oil paints, but you could do the same technique with acrylics. I do recommend, if you're going to do this with acrylics, to get a drying sort of retardant so that it obviously slows down the drying time. Okay, so what I'm going to do is jump in, and I'm going to tone the canvas first. Normally I tone my canvas as sort of a grayish brown, but today I want to make that grayish brown a little more on the bluer side. So I will take a little bit of the burnt sienna, but I'll go a little heavier on the blue. And that reason is because I want some of that just to show through while I'm working. Because I'm going to paint this, I'm going to push the twilight just a little bit more than what you see on the image. And you can do that too, or you can paint it in full bright sunlight of the day. However you want to work your painting here is entirely up to you. You can paint it in total darkness, like the middle of the night with the Christmas lights on, which is also very beautiful. I think one of my favorite things about Christmas time, the whole holidays, Thanksgiving, everything is when we get the opportunity just to take some quiet time and drive around in the evening with our cup of coffee from Starbucks, my gingerbread latte or whatever, and listen to Christmas music and look at Christmas lights in the evening. No rush, nowhere to go, just drive to the neighborhoods with such pretty lights. Here in Cleveland, there's an area near the lake, Lake Erie, with great big homes with beautiful lights. I mean, they hire people to do them. It's really quite a show. It's kind of fun to drive around and look at them. All right, so that's kind of like a nice grayish blue on my canvas. Just wiping this off just a bit. So make sure that when you do tone the canvas, you are aware that you're making it a little bit darker than you need to, because you're going to wipe it off. And so there we go. If I'm going to do just a really simple painting, I'm probably not going to do a thumbnail sketch, just to keep it kind of simple. Okay, Now I'm just going to take a smaller brush. This is a size 3 filbert, and I'm going to sketch out on my canvas my design. So I'll push this back up. And I'll just use a little bit of what I have on the palette, but I'll add a bit more of the pigment, so blue and brown, right into that thinned mixture. And I'm not going to go get more of the odorless mineral spirits because I don't want this to be very runny. But if there's some residue on my palette of what I've already used, then I don't mind if it just makes it a little bit thinner. Okay, so now big decisions here. I like how the road comes around like this, and there's some houses back there. And I like the old mailbox that's off to the side, so I might try to play with some of those. But I want the central element of this painting to be about the tree. So be careful when you're working on your design that you don't make other things as equally interesting when you want to really just showcase one thing. So I'm thinking about putting the main tree right here. And I'm going to shorten the snowy yard just a bit, and that's okay. Kind of angle that a little bit that way. Bring the driveway this way. And just go off that way with that. I think back here, and the house runs into right behind the tree, and it looks cut off. So I'm going to give it an edge, sort of right there. And I'm not going to make a lot of attention drawn to the house, but just a little to indicate that this tree belongs to these people. So I'm thinking about using this background of trees back here to offset the glow of the tree up front. So that's going to be darker. I don't want the line of the tree to be in line with the top of this tree. So we're going to pull that down just a little. And maybe we'll include this other house over here. I don't want to make this that interesting, so we'll just leave that a little bit quieter over here. Let some of those values be more muted for this house. And this tree that's right here I kind of think is interesting, so maybe we'll drag that into the show. Let's put this background of trees over here though. We'll get this in first. Try to make your tree lines, what we call the skyline of trees, the tree line, interesting. Watch out for the tendency to make all of your tree bumps even. So try to stagger those a bit and maybe incorporate a few pine trees or whatever, just to break up the lines. I'm also establishing this as a value passage in here. I like how it's darker right around the tree here. And maybe logically that would be a deeper part of the woods, the forest right in here. So we'll just let that be a bit darker, but as it moves back over to the right, I think that we'll let that get a little lighter and make it feel farther away. Wipe my brush off and just sort of rub that out a bit. Okay, I think what I'm going to do too while I'm working on it is just take some of this ultramarine blue, maybe a little alizarin. Oh, that was a lot. I want to create sort of a violet passage over here to indicate that it's twilight, sort of that evening dusk time of day that's so pretty in the winter. And this is just a matte, sort of a mass. I'm toning it in pretty lightly and pretty roughly to indicate that, and I feel like that's a little dark. There we go, that's a little better. So since I've got the trees being lighter over here, I think it would make sense logically that my sky might go from darker over here to lighter that way. So we'll just sort of have an interesting play that way of the light moving then this way. And since I'm really just sketch blocking this in, I can erase and move things around and play with ideas. This is basically my thumbnail sketch, how I would attack my thumbnail sketch out in the field if I was doing this as a plein air. I'd come up with some of these ideas while there. Okay, let's move this, let's play with that, let's lighten here, and we'll exaggerate this movement of light, and so forth. You can see how I think that by adjusting the movement of light across the sky, it gives the illusion of twilight, and that the sun is a little bit brighter over here. It's gone down, but it's still lighter where that was. And then the trees on this passage here are going to be getting the last of the rays of the evening sun. So that'll be lighter here and then darker where they're silhouetted against the last bit of light. So just, if you do push things a little, you can kind of use logic to help you in your understanding of where and why you're doing certain things. All right, like I said, I did want to get this tree in here, so maybe we'll just do and I can make that thicker or play with that a bit more as we go along. At the base of forests, I always want to make wherever the shadows of the trees tuck into the ground around it, that is significantly darker than what's happening at the top, because of course the light is hitting the top and it's just shadow underneath. I'll make that look like foliage and stuff back there. Okay, give this tree, the house, sort of a darker value here. I like the idea of making this house have a darker value because even though it's not indicated in the photo reference, I'm going to put a yellow light from a window, sort of a glow coming from there. Just a bit of that sky, because I think that sky would be indicated in the reflection on the roof because it's all snow. And that kind of gives that illusion of snow. We'll do that over here too. Keep this lighter. Right, give the house, we'll make this house a little less dark than that one. And the front is going to be darker. Get the snow on the front of the house, just a bit of a indication of shadow, but I am continuing to use that violet as it's going to be bounced from the sky into the snow. But it's not a strong shadow because, you know, it's not a lot of light that is being issued out in the snow this time of day. But I do want to give this house some yellow lights. Like their home. Okay, now I will make the driveway just a bit darker so that we have some accent here of some stronger coloring in this painting, some stronger values. Blue and brown. But what I don't want to do is make a strong contrast going right out of the painting. So as I come down around the exits, I'll keep them a little bit lighter. And that's a deliberate choice you can make anytime you're doing a painting. If you've got a strong directional line pointing off the edge of the canvas, just make it a little less contrasting, whether it's a short ocean line or whatever. Just sort of mute that just a bit. You can fuzzy an edge or soften a value contrast. Now again here I'm just gonna put some of the coloring on the snow, sort of the muted light. That soft time of twilight where all the values are medium to dark and they're very quiet. I love that, and that's really what I'm looking forward to trying to capture in this painting. Now I know that as you're working on your, if you do this, the reference you'll see is, it's kind of a flat blue. There's not a lot of variety in there, so you do have to push things a bit, but hopefully I can help you here with that. And we'll see what we come up with. Okay, now onto this tree. So I'm going to take some of this darker blue and burnt sienna on my palette here. This is just my dark. I'm going to build it up from the bottom. And I want to think about, you know, the main stem of this tree. So if you have to, just give yourself a bit of a line so that it doesn't end up getting wonky or one way or the other. And I'm not going to contend with the lights right at the beginning, only to be aware of where I want to put them. And over here, as I'm looking at these darks, how they get lighter. Down here where they're sort of mixing with snow and light. So if you think about your darks as having interesting shapes to them and try to sculpt those out of the tree, that will kind of help you to develop some form. And so I'm looking at this large shape right here, and right above it is another dark passage in there. It's easy to get a little bit lost in the process of painting all these different layers and branches, but just take it little bits at a time. And I'll add the snow to those later as we come up to those. Okay, I'm starting to see a tree emerge out of all this. All right, now, bearing in mind that my snow has a violet undertone, I'm going to take some of that white now and mix it with the blue and the alizarin. As the shadows creep toward the top of the tree, they get less dark. I mean, they get a little lighter, so I've added a bit more white to my purple mixture. All right, now we're coming up to the top of the tree. And I know that there's more information that we can add up there for the snow. However, if I were to add it right now, it's kind of getting lost in the sky. So at this point, I'm feeling pretty good about where I am with the tree. And I mean, I can put a little bit more white on there just to indicate where I'm going to go with the rest of it. White and light blue. And then I want to leave the tree for a bit while I'm going to work on getting the rest of the background in place. Okay, so we're starting to see some sculpture with the tree, and I'll come back to that obviously a lot more later, but now I want to come through and block in color in the rest of the painting. So I'm going to take a size 4 filbert here. This is a treacle brush. I really do like these brushes, and no, I'm not getting paid by them to sponsor them. No, but I do like them. So let's get a good mixture going here of the blue and the alizarin. And I always paint my colors together. I take a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and because you never know when you scoop up out of your pile of paint how much you're going to need. So put a little bit down and mix a little pile of it and see what you end up with. I take some Galkid gel, maybe put that off to the side. And let's get into here. I think that should be darker, so we're going to add more blue. Let's see where we are with that. I still think that should be a little bit darker. That might be a lot darker. Let's see. Okay. And the reason that what I was thinking when I was determining that value was how it was going to relate to the color of the snow on the end of the tree. Was it going to be too close? I didn't want to have to paint the snow on the tree bright white because that would look not right. So I determined to make the sky just a bit darker to really show the light on that tree. Now, again, as we stretch across the sky, get some more blue and more alizarin. And it's okay, but if I lose that tree, I can always bring it back. Maybe a bit more blue, just blue. What about a little sienna too? Just to really deepen that over here. Oh yeah, that looks like a night sky. Now I'm doing this so that you can kind of see the color better because there's a glare on it. You don't have to rework your brush strokes as it applies to your piece you're working on. But just I filmed enough to know that you can't see it because of glare of my lights, my studio lights. There, I hope that that is visible. Okay, now get that background row of trees. So I'm taking some burnt sienna, ultramarine blue, and white. And again, here I'm going to vary the shades of my background of trees. And I'm not using so much the alizarin for this passage because the trees, they don't have that violet tone of the sky. I do want these significantly darker. And I want them very soft where they touch the sky. This whole skyline. I do like this being darker next to our Christmas tree because, like I said, it will really offset the beauty of the tree and the glow of the lights if this is darker in here. I'll pull that in closer to the tree too so that I can paint into it. Okay, now as we stretch across the back, going to make that a little lighter, not too suddenly though. The reason I jumped over here is because I felt that that color that I had just mixed, that's probably as light as I should go. I don't think I should go much lighter than that for these background trees. I think I will take a little brighter just on the edge to give it some form. Same with on the roof. You can touch this one back here just a bit on the roof too. And then where it seems appropriate, just indicate some of the form. All right, back to here. Before I get too much of the snow around the road done, I do want to get the road too. But you can see so far, this has been a very, color-wise, very simple to just work out the blues and purples. Yeah, if you do this painting, I'd love to see what you did. So feel free to send me an email. All of that information is down below. I'd love to see what you did. This looks like a nice heavy blanket of snow on everything. I want to push this just a bit darker back there because it's not really indicating that it's going back. Okay, same thing with back here. Okay, now, before I get too much further, I want to get the road in. Okay, so we're going to use the ultramarine blue. Just put it right here. And burnt sienna. We'll just make a nice dark. I'm just darkening that just a little more behind that house to create the illusion of that forest back there, and that it's further back. And I also wanted to just offset that roof a little bit more. It felt like it was kind of mushy and lost to values. So I'll pull this in a bit here. All right. Now I haven't forgot our tree, and we will get that in, but let's focus on this one for a while. Actually, first I want to just give some texture to those, just a bit, some depth to some of those bushes back there. All right, now back to this tree. So I think I'll use this. It's a 2. Oh man. Okay, so I'm going to start from the top now and work my way down. I'm going to take some, and we're just going to, I want to go through and clean and isolate my branches, where they are, and some of these, and then we'll make sure that the snow and the lights are the last thing I do, because, especially the lights, because I'm going to put their glow on the snow. So kind of building this tree up from the bottom out. I do the darks of the branches first. And then these are just giving us that indication of where some of those topmost branches are going to be. Okay, now I'm going to do the lighter shadows under those awnings, or sort of those shadows as they slip out from under the dark part of the foliage here. It's just a bit of a purple, sort of a darker purple. Okay, now I'm going to start adding the glow from the lights as I see them under the snow and the branches. I'm going to take some yellow. Let's put it right here. And white. Take some alizarin. Maybe some phthalo. We'll mix some alizarin and yellow. That alizarin's very strong, so you need a lot of yellow to make an orange. Still more yellow. I'm gonna take some blue too. Okay, so now I'm gonna take these and I'm just going to put a little bit of a smudge on the snow where I see a light maybe would be under it. So I've got a yellow white here. And if you can keep these glowing lights very soft to make it look like they're actually under the pile of snow, that's what you want to do for that part. Because I'm going to contrast this with some brighter, sharper lights. So for now, we're just doing the under snow lights. You notice I go back to my palette a lot because essentially what I'm doing is I'm twirling my brush because there's colored paint on it now mixing with the yellow and white. And if I were just to keep painting and going around dabbing my brush, the colors would mix. And this is one way to avoid getting muddy colors. Okay, now I'm going to get the soft pink lights, and they are showing up as pink because they are under the snow, but I'll make them a brighter reddish pink when they're out of the snow. Okay, now I'm going to take some of the exact same color that I had, and I'm going to put little halos of light before I put the light inside. So I'm taking and making it a little brighter, for example, yellow. And this is a light bulb that is not in shadow covered with snow. I'm not done with those. I'll make those brighter with the bright dot right in the middle. Okay, now I'm just going to dry this brush off pretty well and soften this so it looks like a glow. Now I'm going to take a bright white little dot, just put it right in the middle. Because of this contrast in lights, it'll indicate a difference from the snowy ones to the bright lit ones that are not covered. Okay, I'll get some more of those lights and do some green ones. Okay, some highlights in those greens. take a soft, dry brush, and I just want to soften some of these passages here in the snow where the lights are on it. Barely touching it. All right, now the last thing I want to do is to put some of the windows in the houses. So we'll take yellow, some of this alizarin down here, and I'll put you one right here. All right, everybody, well, that wraps this video up. I hope you enjoyed this, and go ahead and give this painting a try, and I would love to see what you do. Feel free to email me. My email is down below, and I would love to see it. I'd be thrilled. All right, you guys, check out this short little video commercial of the upcoming things I have that I'm offering here for the holiday season. I am doing my annual holiday sale. I love to take some of my paintings and offer them to you at a discounted price, ones that I really like. So check out this video. I think you're going to enjoy it. Be sure to like and subscribe if you did enjoy this video. And I thank you so much for joining me. I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye. Hello everyone, and welcome to my 2023 annual holiday art sale. I'm excited to share these paintings with you that I have carefully selected to share at reduced prices. This one is a still life I did earlier this year. I absolutely loved these turban peaches coupled with that brass pot. And this is a palette knife painting I did of the lavender fields in France, where I've visited a few times. And I'm excited to have this one here as well. This little still life I call A Day at the Sea, and it reminds me of all of the things that my kids used to collect when we'd come home from the ocean, and I thought it made a really interesting collection, how they just played together, shapes and textures and so forth. This is a plein air painting I did while in France. This is the Dordogne Valley looking down from Baynac Castle, and that's the river, the Dordogne River. And this is a painting I called The Guardians. These are 8 Lipizan horses looking over a Romanian village. And it just seemed like their gesture and their pose that they were in some way guarding or looking over the city. And this little watercolor painting I thought I would offer at a special price. This is only $75, and I love the luminosity of these beautiful butterflies. This is a plein air painting I did, and I call it Morning Haze. The sky had this wonderful quality, and I loved the way that the trees just sort of blended in on this beautiful day. And this painting I call Grace because the beautiful pose of these swans just reminded me of just such an elegant grace. And this is a plein air painting I did for a YouTube video. And I love the colors and the composition and the way that the water just flowed through this painting. So I definitely wanted to include it in the list here. This is a plein air painting I did from the Oregon coast. And I just loved watching the people on the water and the wet sand, and they went out surfing and just had a really nice atmosphere to it. This is a painting called Day is Done, taken from the Henry Wadsworth Longfellow poem, Day is Done. And darkness falls as a feather is wafted downward from an eagle in his flight. I love this kind of poems, and I wanted a painting that combined well with my favorite poem by Longfellow. And this painting is one I did for another YouTube video, and it felt very impressionistic to me, and I really enjoyed this one, Woodland Creek. And this was a little plein air painting I did out in San Diego, just demonstrating how a little wave crests, and I love just the energy of that small study. And this one was from an image I took while in California, out in the Sierra Nevada mountains. Loved these aspen with the river. And this is a plein air painting I did while teaching a workshop on the Oregon coast. And it was such a windy day, and I just love seeing the families out there, and flying kites on the Oregon coast is a very popular pastime. And this painting I call Release. And this painting is all about that feeling you get when you step over a sand dune and you look at the coast and the water and you just feel all of your anxiety just let go. And the seagulls sort of represented that free feeling for me. And that concludes my 2023 annual holiday art sale. Thanks for watching, and have a wonderful holiday season.